sort of miracle in cities like New York and Philadelphia. Male obstetricians have used the forceps as the key into a woman's bedroom. The popularity of the forceps is spawning a legion of faithful practitioners. But consider this. On Christmas Eve of 1910, Miss Malarski, almost 9 months pregnant, was in scorching pain. Waiting in her Yorkville tenement, she lingered at her door for the sight of Dr. TRINH, her obstetrician. Immediately upon his arrival, he applied the forceps on her frail body. In what seemed like a blink of an eye, her pain was gone and she was with child. But the minute that she held her son, she realized that he was dead. Did Dr. TRINH kill the baby? Welcome to Sunday Afternoon at the Plaza. My name is Anthony Comstock, and today we will be taking a look at this controversial medical device, the forceps. My guest speakers tonight are Ms. Arlette Smolarski and Dr. William Sanger. Let me begin with you, Dr. Sanger. Can you tell us more about the forceps?
Well, before I go into details, Mr. Comstock, let me provide you with a brief history. Over the last few centuries, we have observed that the height of the female pelvis shrunk and the distance between the hip joints became smaller, while the head on the fetus's shoulder grew. This presented a problem in the birthing process. In the 16th century, Peter Chamberlain created the forceps to help grasp the baby and then facilitate its extraction from the birth canal. More advanced technology has manufactured various styles of the forceps, but the basic design remains a handle, a shank, and 2 blades, each blade curve serving a different purpose. The cephalic curve corresponds to the baby's head, and the pelvic curve is adjusted to fit the birth canal. With a long history of trial and successes, I believe that the forceps is a wonderful instrument for women as it has saved many lives and relieved many painful births.
You claim that the forceps have saved lives, but isn't the safety of the said instrument questionable? Misapplications of the forceps, which are quite common, have increased women's perennial lacerations and caused head injuries to the fetus. Moreover, physicians are overeager to use the forceps without careful consideration of a patient's condition.
We have come a long way since Dr. Chamberlain's first practice. One of the ways that we have addressed malpractices is through a regular and vigorous physician training. Dr. William Shippen had trained male students to use forceps in London, New York, and Philadelphia in 1762. Dr. Thomas Chalkley James taught midwifery to male medical students at the University of Pennsylvania. Dr. William Pott Dewey's and Dr. Walter Channing had developed the method of vertical touching using the birthing chair and horizontal touching, respectively.
The obstetrician may be trained, however, are they receiving the real-life experiences that a female midwife receives? From my understanding, it appears that most training are either done on mannequins or corpses. Moreover, when medical students perform the procedure on live patients, they use a sense of touch to guide the operation without seeing their patient's body.
Dr. Dewey's taught the method of unsighted digital exploration as a way to protect a woman's chastity and reputation. In our society, it is repugnant for a man to gain sight of a woman's body. In an effort to protect the woman's reputation and that of her husband, we employed the method of unsighted exploration to address the problem, without compromising the morality. And to address the issue of using corpses, when teaching medical students, we do not want to compromise the safety of real patients with someone who is not yet trained.
Would you say that the forceps used carry minimal risk?
Of course. I have never had a miscarriage in hundreds of deliveries that I have conducted.
The majority of your patients have been fallen women. I, for one, believe that a wife's and a mother's body is quite different than that of a prostitute.
Mr. Comstock, human body is universal throughout. Many well-to-do women tend to hire obstetricians. Dr. Shippen is a prime example of that. He delivered babies for Miss Sally Drinker in Philadelphia. It's curious that you mentioned class, because middle and upper-class women tend to hire us the most. The obstetrician's use of a forceps is the most successful way to solve a complicated delivery.
While I do not have the expertise to comment on your practice, I do, however, have a guest who had experienced a forceps-induced birth. I would like to welcome Ms. Arlette Smolarski. Please tell us more about your story.
I was going to ask Miss Martha Ballard, a trusted midwife, to deliver my baby for me. But after seeing my sister give birth to her baby, I realized that midwives do not do much to stop the pain. Growing up in Poland, I have seen many midwives deliver babies, but many women that I work with have told me that an obstetrician can deliver a baby with more ease and less pain. Working in the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory 15 hours a day, my hips have always been sore, and I couldn't imagine how painful childbirth would be. While cleaning the house for Mrs. Hemmings, she introduced me to Dr. Trush. He offered the services for a small fee that I could pay. I was so happy that day that he agreed to help me. I know how expensive a doctor could be. As a woman with no education, I look up to Dr. Trush and trusted him. He seemed more reliable than midwives because he was a man and he was trained in England. It did not take much to convince me that I should go with the doctor. If Mrs. Hemming trusted him, then I would be in good hands.
Your situation is a bit peculiar. You exclusively hired Dr. Trash to deliver your baby. Most women tend to ask midwives to come on the day of delivery to help the obstetrician. Can you tell us more about what happened on the day you gave birth?
On Christmas Eve, Dr. Trush came to my apartment. Once he walked in, I could barely stand. He laid me down and rubbed opium on my body. Moments later, the pain went away. Then he reached into his bag, pulled out a pair of forceps, and inserted it in me. I could feel the metal scraping within me. After adjusting the forceps, he pulled and tugged. In minutes, he delivered my baby. But it was silent. I knew something was wrong. He handed my baby, and I started crying. It was a dead baby. I yelled at him for killing my baby, and he told me that the baby was already dead before he delivered it with the forceps. After comforting me, he left.
Did anyone take care of you when Dr. Trash left?
My mother was there to look after me. My husband deserted me once our ship from Poland docked in New York. If he was still here, he would have forbidden me from using an obstetrician to deliver my baby. His mother was a midwife back in our Poland, so he had the highest respect for them. He would always say a woman's body was best left to the care of another woman.
I am terribly sorry about this tragic event. It has been a year now. How do you feel about the situation now that you have time to reflect upon it?
Thinking back, I don't think Dr. Trush's use of the forceps was completely responsible for the death of my son. I do not know why my son died. Maybe it was the forceps. Maybe he was already dead in my body. Maybe it was many reasons. I do, however, wonder why Dr. Trush was so inclined to use the forceps right away. I felt like he rushed into using the forceps.
Dr. Sanger, do you care to comment on Ms. Malarski's observation?
First, I would like to give Miss Malarski my condolences. I would have to say that she has touched on a salient topic in the obstetrician community. Certain doctors have criticized our forceps practice. They believe that we act immaturely without the patience of a midwife. As Dr. Dewey stated, the frequency with which forceps have been employed in some instances is really alarming, and I'd like to have said must have been too often unnecessary.
Do you believe that some doctors rush into using the forceps because it is somewhat fashionable? Young and inexperienced doctors may be pressured to use the instrument without waiting sufficiently long to know what nature can accomplish, because the vivid picture of impaction, slowing, death of a child, which will rise before his excited fancy.
No, I do not. The obstetrician may have to act in time of immediate danger. When a doctor sees a woman in pain, he simply does not have the luxury to wait. He has to act immediately to relieve the patient, or else he risks her death.
But isn't there an impetus to act quickly? Unlike midwives, your profession is designed to make an immediate impact and reduce the natural wait.
Mr. Comstock, your concerns are well taken. At the end of our day, our profession has not only saved lives, but made the childbearing process easier for women across the country. I will let the statistics speak for themselves. Women across major cities prefer our service over that of female midwives, regardless of the risk or the morality involved. We are in the business of saving lives.
That is all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us on Sunday afternoon at the Plaza. I would like to extend my gratitude to Dr. William Sanger and Ms. Arlette Smolarski for being with us. I look forward to your audience next week when we uncover the secrets of the Eastern State Penitentiary.